Welcome back to the Commerce Collective podcast. My name is Emma Irwin, and I am not actually your host for this episode. For the first time ever, I let someone else take the reins, and I'm excited for you to listen to this conversation between Gabe Fishbein, our VP of Product, and Alan Lewis, Director of Product, AMC, recorded live at Amazon Accelerate. I didn't give Gabe the intro text to read, so I'm just going to let this flow straight into the conversation that they had. All right, I just had to pop in and say hi.
Hi, I'm Gabe Fishbein, and this is the Flywheel Commerce Collective podcast, and I'm sitting here with
Alan Lewis.
And Alan, what do you do?
I am the Director of Product for Amazon Marketing Cloud.
Awesome. Amazon Marketing Cloud is, of course, one of Amazon Ads' darlings. It's mentioned at nearly every event, and so we'll get a little bit into that. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask Emma's favorite question to start every podcast, which is, what was the last thing that you purchased on Amazon?
So I'm sighing because I didn't cheat. I did look up to remind myself about what I bought last. I bought a bidet.
Very nice.
You added on to an existing toilet, so I bought that. However, technically, if you count Kindle books, are we counting that as the last purchase?
I'm thinking sort of physical, not digital.
Oh, okay. Well, so that was my last physical purchase.
Very nice.
I did buy James Joyce's Ulysses last night.
Oh, very nice.
Because apparently I'm a masochist. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Patrick Miller, who's one of our co-founders, has a book club that he is in with some folks, including some Amazon Ads folks, where they specifically will chase books that are often completely arduous and terrible to read. And so they are similar in that way.
I will have to hit Patrick up for his thoughts on on this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to sit down. I know it's a very busy conference. It's a very fun conference. Amazon clearly cares a lot about its sellers. And there was a big announcement yesterday around AMC. Could you walk us through a little bit what that announcement was and what that means?
We announced that AMC is now available for everyone. So as long as you have a campaign on sponsored ads, which is a lot of people, here at the conference, it really caters to sellers. That's our prime kind of customer that we wanted to give them a way to use AMC versus having to go through a partner. Of course, there's a great set of partners that they can get even more out of AMC from, but especially for people to get a taste of what they can do with a powerful tool like AMC that helps them understand the data from their campaigns better or more deeply than they can through things like out-of-the-box reports.
That's very cool. And in talking with a lot of sellers too, I noticed that they're quite price sensitive to a lot of new features, and that includes signing up with a partner. Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about the cost structure of AMC? What does this unlock, and what's available out of the box?
So AMC is available to everyone. It's a value add, or it's part of the value that you get from advertising with AMC. There are some additional add-on features, things that are offered through a subscription that unlocks access to additional signals, things that are provided on top. But as long as you're running a campaign, then you're getting access to all of the signals about that campaign. So the people that you reached, the click events, the purchase events, all the conversion activity, that's all included. And you can then use all sorts of tools, both pre-built templates, no-code solutions, things that are really cater to a less technical user. But you can also go all the way to writing your own SQL queries. So somebody that has that skill or wants to get super custom or go as deep as they can. That was where AMC started, was providing those kinds of power tools. And over time, we've built up things around them, all of which is provided at no extra cost.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of sellers have really been waiting for this moment where it's become a bit more accessible, just right out of the box. And
we have too. This is a long time coming, and we're really, really genuinely excited to finally get this to pretty much anyone.
And the way that a seller would access this is, at this point, as I understand, they just have to click on it and the instance is created, right?
Yeah, they just click on it in the UI in Ad Console. That's right.
And that UI has changed a bit too. I know that oftentimes when you were dropped into AMC, especially a while ago, you were dropped into this SQL query editor, which is quite intimidating if you don't know how to code. What do people see now when you drop them in?
We've built a brand new homepage for AMC that surfaces really easy to use visual widgets that provide charts and graphs that are specific to certain use cases. The ones we have right now, very line graph heavy, but are I think it was over almost a dozen different use cases that we're providing out of the box, where you can get that fully visual widget, and you can then configure that with your specific data in just a couple clicks. And then those are refreshed weekly with up-to-date campaign activity. So it gives you not just a launch point, but actually a place to surface or to refer to insights over time. So it gives you a reason to come back and gives you that customizable starting point, plus all the links out to where you left off, other use cases. We have 100 plus use cases that we've built over years now within AMC, and it helps you really see what's possible and then get started getting into the custom stuff versus that being your only starting point.
That's awesome. And I want to talk a little bit more about some of the custom stuff. I know that all of the queries are privacy safe. So naturally, like you can't see what other people are entering in, what they're querying on for SQL. But I know that you do work with a lot of partners, including Flywheel and Perpetua. And I'm curious, just in your opinion, are there any really interesting use cases that you've seen people using AMC in unexpected ways, whether it's for sponsored ads or DSP plus sponsored?
Yeah.
Anything that's you found really interesting or unexpected in a way that people use it?
We've seen this from the start with AMC, like going back, so you and I have known each other for 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
You've worked at Flywheel for a long time, and you were one of the first customers that I met when we were first doing the rounds. Even in that first year that we were starting with AMC, we were finding all sorts of use cases that we didn't anticipate, which is fantastic. One of them is it's not an official case study, so I can't mention the brand, but a large brand in the food space was able to use AMC to analyze where their in-store sales, which the data that they had access to, how that matched up with geo-specific reach for their campaigns. And they were able to better understand the dynamics of okay, how, given the reach that they had in a particular metro region, how did that influence the in-store sales in that same region over a period of time? That was super early on, before we even had like the Amazon conversion data in the product. And so that gave us some of our first inclination that we had something that was really powerful. And since then, that's propelled us to continue to add more signals into the product out of the box, more tools to help you get the most of those insights, and then put them into action by, well, okay, now that I know this, what can I do with it? So this is why it's so awesome for us to have that we can now offer this kind of power to everyone.
That's really cool. And I want to actually dig in even a little bit more about those in-store signals. You talked about, that wasn't on your list of signals that are available with AMC. What other tools exist with AMC that allow people to perform that type of analysis?
Which kind of tools are you thinking? Like what kind of data sets?
People bringing their own data, for example.
Got it. Yeah. Well, just to illustrate what we're talking about here, so let's say that you're a brand and you have your own online sales. So you have your own direct relationship with your customer. That can be a data set that you bring into AMC in a privacy safe way. So you're loading that data set in. It's all what we call pseudonymized. So you're not sharing anything private. It's not accessible to Amazon. But you can through that process see things like overlap of the customer base through your online store versus customers that come in through Amazon. So right there, you have some unique insight to draw from. I mean, maybe that's 50% of people, maybe it's 60, maybe it's higher. And then from that starting point, you can do things like, well, here's some of my most loyal customers through my store. What is my marketing strategy with them through Amazon? It might be that like, I don't want to reach those people. They're already customers, so I want to reserve my marketing budget for net new customers. Or the opposite. I want to engage with those customers in a specific way through Amazon. Maybe focus on introducing them to other other products that I offer. Maybe I have a new product launch, and so that might be a particular audience that I focus on. People that are already familiar with my brand, but I want to really get this message to them so that they might spur adoption or sales for a brand new product offering. All sorts of things like that.
That's really cool. I mean, it seems like one of the things that you get with the ability to sort of link pseudonymized data, pseudonymized, like pseudonym, anonymized almost, for those who sort of like can't imagine how it's
Well
spelled.
done, yes.
But like the capabilities that exist when you can bring that data give you a whole host of new measurement abilities. Right. One of the things that you sort of talked about was activation, and so you had mentioned that you can reach customers who may have a higher propensity to buy or may have a higher propensity to be of higher value. What tools exist within AMC today? Do the sellers that can activate their instances with one click starting yesterday, do they get the ability to reach customers? What do those tools look like, and how do they work?
They do. So with the new customer base coming in for the first time today, the main activation path, at least at the start for them, is going to be bid boosting. So within sponsored ads campaigns, how can they increase their bid amount specifically for a certain segment of customers that are identified through AMC? It could be like that case I mentioned of a really, these are like a more sophisticated use case where you're bringing your own signal in, doing some work. It might start with something simpler. It might be that you gain some insight through one of these built-in templates. Let's say people that have been exposed to multiple of your campaigns. So they might be further down the funnel. Well, that set of people, how do you want to bid against them differently versus whatever the baseline would be? So that's a simpler way we're starting out. You can start with an insight, take that into an activation plan. In this case, changing your bid amount. Maybe I'm going to bid 50% more for this cohort of customers, or I'm going to take that cohort and then build a lookalike. So I can increase reach, but with that as my starting point with some set of high propensity customers. Those are things that are simpler, that don't require, if it's things that we provide out of the box, don't require you to get super custom, have a tech team or something that might be outside of the realm of what's possible for a lot of customers, but are still really, really powerful things that might give you capabilities that you just didn't have before.
I really like that. And one of the things that we're trying to continually educate people on is the difference between sort of a campaign that is architected around targeting, so like a keyword and match type, versus campaigns that are architected around shoppers. So groups of shoppers based on previous behavior, previous signal that Amazon has in its logs that we could then use to reach shoppers who are more relevant. One of the things that comes with that is there's a little bit of this shift with how you approach reaching customers. Right now, a lot of the optimizations are driven off of last touch, first purchase attribution. All of ACOS is driven that way. Attributed sales 14-day is driven that way. When you log into the ads console, that's the data you're presented with. Yeah. And so this seems like a very different way of thinking about it. When it comes to measurement, take us a little bit away from last touch and first purchase and talk about what can you see within AMC that you couldn't see before that gives you the ability to perhaps think about both your measurement and your activation a little bit differently.
Is that all?
Yeah.
So you know a heck of a lot more about this space than I do. I mean, Flywheel and I've learned a ton from you over years now. So when I came into AMC, like I didn't know anything about advertising really, and learned along the way about, well, okay, how does attribution work? What are ways that how does Amazon do it? What do customers want? We provide a lot of the basics, a lot of things out of the box. We've announced and are rolling out we have other ways to provide different kinds of what we call multi-touch attribution. So those things are now provided to a larger number of customers, but people often have their own way of wanting to measure. And for me, like this is me speaking, Alan, not just not like an Amazon sort of stance, but like for me, the best measurement or the best attribution methodology is whatever you think it is. As long as you believe in it, as long as it's what how you want to view your customers, and as long as you do it consistently, that no matter what the methodology is, it can provide you value, and it might be a way in which you have really unique insight for your particular product category, or based on insights that you built up over time. You might have a very specific way to weight. Okay, if somebody sees a video ad, how much is that worth versus a remarketing banner versus somebody that I'm trying to reach at the lower funnel. Having the capability, which you can get with AMC, to some degree with things that you come out of the box, but especially as you're able to get in there and get exactly the methodology that you want to implement, can be very, very powerful. And I know that's so powerful for customers because they treat that as often their IP, their intellectual property. Like their methodology that they've built up over time is sometimes their secret sauce. And we're able to give them the tools that implement that, keep it private to them so that they can implement that methodology without exposing it to anyone else, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, privacy safe is huge. And one of the things that I like to say, I think we've actually, because of AI, we've moved a little bit away from incrementality as a buzzword. But I used to tell the joke that if you got 3 people in a room and asked them to define incrementality, you would get 4 definitions. And so one of the things that this really unlocks, as you said, is that people can define using transparent heuristics, really transparent to themselves, how they would define a metric like incrementality. And it gives them the ability to now know and trust and understand it from a first principles perspective so that they can measure it and rely on it. And I think that that customizability is very important to a lot of brands. Something, I talked a little bit about customer centricity, and that's sort of like one of the big things that we're trying to shift people's mindsets about. But just from your perspective, let's say that you could put a message out on every billboard in front of every Amazon brand, seller and vendor and advertiser, that they could learn and understand and know one thing from your perspective. What message would you put on that billboard?
I'd like people to, I think a message I'd like to get to customers is, with respect to, say, data and analytics, you're smarter than you think you are. Like, it's not as hard as you think it might be, something like that. I want people to have really powerful tools. I want them to have these sort of capabilities. I'm inspired a lot by Excel, which, other than web browsers, is the most commonly used business tool. And I use that as a reference point with the team a lot. I've wanted to have AMC have an Excel level of accessibility to pretty much anyone. Kind of challenging the notion of like, oh, there's technical people and non-technical. We all have, I think, ideas. We all have skills. Anybody that works for a company has skills. And so I think the sellers here at Accelerate, I mean, they know their products, they know their space. They may not know how to bridge the gap to get that knowledge into a format or into a query or something like that. But give it a try. And if you get something out of that, that's fantastic. You don't have to, but give yourself some credit that you have more ability than you might think you do with respect to these kinds of tools.
I really appreciate that. And I agree. It's can you sort of understand what you want? And if you can articulate what you want, the goal is you should be able to get that information or get that data, of course, where it's available. I know you spent quite a bit of time this year working on the accessibility of AMC, both with regards to opening it up to more advertisers, as well as sort of making the insights a little bit easier to reach with some of the changes in the UI UX. What is next for AMC? What are the things that you're working on, to the extent that you're able to talk about them, that advertisers can look forward to in the future for AMC?
We've started revamping the UX about a year ago. That's an ongoing project. And now that we have the product open to everyone, I'm really looking forward to hearing feedback from customers about, well, what are things that are confusing? What are things that they want to see that aren't there yet? So while we have long-term plans, we're working on those. Very important for us to keep our ears open and keep our plans, flexible so that we can jump in and change things quickly instead of just like, well, this is what we thought we would do this year, a year ago, and we're going to keep with that plan. In the realm of big plans, so we've announced some things like at Unbox last year. We announced things around our custom modeling, so things on the much more sophisticated side. We're still continuing to work on many of those features. We have some of those in testing with customers. More to come there about more powerful features. So we want to keep pushing in that dimension. So it's a mix of both, broadening the appeal of the product to as many customers as possible, while in Amazon speak, always raising the bar on what you can do with the tool, how much power you can get.
We're big believers in custom modeling, especially. And that was a ton of detail. Thank you for sharing that. One final question is, I'm currently reading The Optimist, which is a book about Sam Altman. And one of the anecdotes in the Optimist specifically talks about WWDC 2007. Sam Altman 2008. I'm sorry. Where Sam Altman is wearing a layer of like a pink polo over a green polo with
an interesting fashion choice.
Collars popped. But I understand that you might relate to that story personally. Why am I bringing this up?
Well, I was on stage at WWDC back when I worked at eBay. This is 18 years ago now. I was an evangelist, and I was on stage at that conference introducing the eBay app for iPhone. And I didn't know Sam, and he wasn't as well known back then. And he was the demo after me. So I was wearing just a single polo, black eBay polo, and poked some fun at Sam. I think he can take it about his fashion choice. But you told me from the book that this was actually a deliberate choice of his, that he wanted to stand out. Yes. And that you've taken inspiration today with your wardrobe choice as well to give people, something to remember.
Yes. Yeah. Also known for outlandish polos. And it didn't seem to hurt his success.
He somehow made it through.
Yes. And for that, we're all fortunate. Alan,
we'll see.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your conference. Thank you again.
Thanks. Good to see you, Gabe.
Good to see you.
And that wraps up another episode of the Commerce Collective podcast. Thank you to Amazon Ads for hosting us. Thank you to Alan for his wisdom. And thank you to Gabe for being the first non-Emma Irwin host of an episode ever. We'll see you next time.